are you today?
That's a great question. I am in Ann Arbor, Michigan, last time I checked, for the Big Ten men's lacrosse tournament. I had the semifinals yesterday. I have the championship game, Maryland and Ohio State, tomorrow night. So that's where you'll find me. It's commencement weekend here. A lot of people running around in gowns.
Oh, very good. You know what? I mean, listen, I hate, and I mean, we knew that it ends at the end of the first round for any like local coverage of, I shouldn't say local coverage, broadcast of the games. But I can't believe you finished doing the Caps Hurricane season or series, and then boom, right on the road, we're back out doing lacrosse.
Yes, sir. I originally had a 6 a.m. flight yesterday. It was funny. The original semifinals were 5:30 and 7:30 yesterday. They moved them up because there was a possibility of lightning, so they moved the games to noon. While we were doing Caps Canadians in game 5, I get a text that says, "Oh, by the way, the games have been moved up to noon." I tell my Big Ten Network boss, "It's okay. I've got a 6 a.m. flight. I'll be there at 7:30. Not a problem." By the time I got home, Elliot, the 6 a.m. flight, I'm sorry, it's delayed to 8:45.
Oh my God.
Now I'm doing the math. I'm going, uh-oh. Long story condensed. This has never happened in like 35 plus years of professional sportscasting. I didn't get to the booth till 11:21 before a noon face-off. That's really, really cutting it tight.
Oh, my God. Hey, on a normal, well, that begs the question. Normal Caps night, 7 o'clock puck drop. What time are you?
I'm there at 4. 4 p.m.
What are you doing? Burning and cutting sticks and taping?
No, there are a couple of pre-production meetings, and then work really starts on a 7 o'clock show. Work really starts at 5:30. For example, tomorrow night at 8 o'clock in Ann Arbor, the face-off for Maryland and Ohio State. I'll be in the booth by 5:30. That's just me. So 2.5 hours is usually what I like. 21 minutes,
not so much.
A little bit uncomfortable.
Hey, Joe B, just by comparison, so 7 o'clock puck drop, you're at Capital One Arena at 4. What time does Locker roll in?
An hour later. He's fine. Yeah, and Elliot, if he could push it, he would do a half hour before every face-off. If he could, he'd love that. I told him this story last night. He's like, perfect, I love it. That's what I want to do all the time.
All right, so before we get to round 2 between the Capitals and the Hurricanes, let's look back a little bit. Round 1, we take care of the Montreal Canadiens in 5 games. And Joe B, I'll tell you what, it's usually a cliche line that gets thrown around where they'll go, and normally it's about the momentum of a game, but they'll go, hey, all it takes is one big hit, and we can flip the momentum and get going. How big was that hit by Tom Wilson on Carrier?
Intense, hugely intense. And you used a word there, Elliot, momentum, that both Martin St. Louis and Spencer Carberry were throwing around a lot about its value. And you know it during the regular season, but especially so. Games change, momentum changes, momentum swings. And both head coaches were concerned with how often they could keep good old Mo on their side. That hit was so extraordinary, and then within 12 to 15 seconds later, Duhaime's turning the light on. It was a radical shift. And 21,000 people at Bell Center who were raving idiots, screaming their lungs out, shut up quickly.
Right.
And you could just feel everything turn. The Capitals were just that much more taller in their skates, more powerful. Everything, momentum, whoom, downhill. And it becomes a 4-goal third period that really, I think, signaled, hey, Washington knows it's the number 1 seed, and they're going to put Montreal in their place.
But you know what, Joe? I will say this. And yes, it's a 1 seed against an 8 seed, and Montreal played very good hockey down the stretch to earn their way in. However, I will say this. They have a very good young core of players, from Caulfield to Nick Suzuki to Newhook to Slavkovsky to Caden Gooley. I feel like that could be a team that we see kicking around the Eastern Conference for a while.
Yeah, they're on the rise for sure. And yes, they were top heavy in their scoring. That first line, metrically, analytically, everybody will tell you that Slavkovsky and Caulfield and Suzuki in the last 6 weeks of the regular season, possibly the very best line in the entire league. That's how well they were driving play. And Washington had them at the top of their to-do list as far as coverages were concerned, and they still generated more than 50% of Montreal's total goals in the series. Yeah, there's a bright future there. You can throw Samuel Montembeault in there, although
Sure.
we thought we saw a really good performance from Dobesh subbing in. There are more players coming through the pipeline there. Yes, the future is bright. And I still, every time I walk into a press conference and see Martin St. Louis at the podium, I'm like, you're not a head coach. You're one of my favorite players of all time. What are you doing up there? But he is. He's a tremendous head coach, and the players love to play for him. So there's a good thing going. And I've said this, and people say this all the time. There are some cities, and especially Montreal, when they're good, the league's the better for it. So all power to Montreal for improving as they go forward.
And they have one defenseman that I want to highlight for a second. The kid is unbelievable, Lane Hudson. And small, undersized guy. But, I mean, he's a rookie. He's going to win the Calder for Rookie of the Year. He should. For a kid, he plays every situation. He plays the power play. He plays penalty kill. He plays 5-on-5. He is just a motor. And his younger brother, Cole, is in the Caps organization. I believe Cole already announced he's going back to college next year. But they talk about how similar those two are. Joe, if Cole is 3/4 as good as Lane, I can't wait till he gets here.
Yeah, it's exciting, isn't it? Cole's playing in the World Championships for Team USA, the Senior World Championship. So this is with the big boys, and Lane had a phenomenal season. I was looking, I didn't realize that he led their team entirely in assists. Everybody thought, when you look at Lane, when you look at Cole, I think they're probably generously listed at 5'9", 5'10". And everybody thought, in defense, on defense in the NHL, that's going to be, you line up, you mark those guys, you make sure you punish them. We were talking with the Caps, Locker and I, Alan, Al Koch, and everybody. We were talking with the Caps, and they're like, "Wow, we've hit him, and he's handled it really well." And this is Lane we're speaking of.
Sure.
And Cole has the same offensive type dimension. I've watched Cole in development camps in the off season since the Caps have drafted him. They'll come in and bring the puppies in from time to time, work power skating, work specialty, skills. Clinics with them. Cole is off the board when it comes to skating dexterity. He is so much fun to watch. He is small, like Lane, but they get the job done. And you're exactly right. As Cole chooses whenever the time is, and it's probably akin to Ryan Leonard. Once the college season ends next year, I would imagine Cole would turn pro. It's up to him, obviously, but with Lane setting a path for his brother. Can't wait till Cole gets to Washington.
And listen, just sticking with the Canadian series to start. There were 4 players that really, really stood out to me. And I'm going to excuse Ovechkin did what I expected Ovechkin to do, right? Your best players have to be your best players. Tom Wilson did what I expected him to do. Pierre-Luc Dubois, given the role that he was charged with, you mentioned that top line, it was their job to go out there and do it. He did what he needed to do. The 4 players that stuck out to me, Logan Thompson was unbelievable in the playoffs, and you need that goalie. I thought he was unreal. I thought Dylan Strome, for what I expected, I thought he far exceeded what my expectation was. And then the other 2, Brendan Duhaime had an unbelievable, my opinion, Joe, series against the Canadians. And then the last one, and he never gets any hype. He doesn't get press. He's just a quiet dude. I thought Matt Roy was phenomenal against the Canadians.
Yeah, bravo on you. Let's go in reverse order. So Roy has that sneaky strength that imposes its will on other players. He's always seemingly in the right spot. He's had to elevate his penalty killing role, and that was a sore spot there for a little bit in that series. Montreal generated a lot of offense on the power play, and I think that was to be expected without Faravari and without Protas. So you get Protas back late in that series. He's one of your top PK guys. I think Matt Roy is going to rise to that occasion and get better and better in a PK role. It's not like he doesn't have it beforehand, but he wasn't a primary penalty killer like Ferravari was during the regular season. The Caps love Matt, and deservedly so. Dubois, from the beginning of the season, has asked Spencer Carberry to have the toughest defensive assignment every night. He's the guy who, when the Caps have last change and home ice advantage in this series with Carolina, Dubois is the guy that's going to say, give me Aho.
Sure.
Dubois is the guy that's going to say, give me McDavid, give me Matthews, give me McKinnon, on and on. He wants the number one center in that defensive matchup, and he's flourished at it. And I hope Selke Award voters, best defensive forward in the league, are taking notice, because it's not like Pierre Dubois is a slob offensively. He's a very good offensive player who's playing primarily against the other team's top threats, and that will continue. Logan Thompson, when we go back to January, Elliot, Logan Thompson, to me, was the best goalie in the league and the MVP for the Caps.
I'll give you that.
The Caps were rolling through the season, and there was no goalie better than Thompson. Now, injuries, other ailments, things that happened down the stretch. Logan's play, maybe in the regular season, you could say fell off, but you were getting almost January LT in that first round, and when you do that, you can beat anyone. That's how good he can be, and you cross your fingers and hope that he can do it for another 6-7 weeks. But that was the kind of goaltending that bailed Washington out in the Montreal series and is going to have to be there against Carolina. I think a team that's far superior offensively to Montreal. So the tests and the challenges for the Caps and for Thompson grow larger. Dylan Strome, fantastic. So often underrated, a point-per-game guy in the regular season, and just plays and makes the game at his pace. And usually that expression comes out of my mouth when I'm talking about Nicholas Backstrom.
Right.
Backstrom for years made the game his tempo and excelled at it. Strome, not to the degree of Backstrom yet, but Strome does a lot of those similar playmaking things.
So let me ask you this, Joe Beninati. So Carolina is going to be a better team than Montreal.
Absolutely.
What did you see in round one that maybe fix is the wrong word? What needs to change a little bit?
Scotty Allen's a really good assistant coach with regard to penalty killing, and that staff. I mean, everybody gives Spencer all the credit, and I understand why. And Spencer is likely to be the NHL Coach of the Year, and maybe in a runaway.
He should be.
But that staff's really good, all the way down, from top to bottom. All the assistants, the skills coaches, the goalie coaches, the strength and conditioning coaches, video, all that stuff. These guys are, and Emily Engelnatsky, this group of coaches is phenomenal. They'll get this team ready. Scotty Allen knows he's got a really big challenge in hand. If the Caps take penalties, and hopefully they don't, that's up to the officiating. But if there's an overwhelming amount of Carolina power plays, that's where that PK unit has to be stout and has to be better than they were against Montreal, because Carolina's power play is going to be that much deeper and that much more of a threat. It all starts with Sebastian Aho. I think he had 3 power play goals in the first round. Svechnikov rising into the power player they thought he would be. Jarvis, so slick, so savvy. I mean, they're all good at even strength, but their talents really come to light if you give them 5-on-4s and 4-on-3s. So, yes, I think the PK needs to be buttoned up. I love Washington 5-on-5 against anybody.
Right.
I think the Caps 5-on-5 can beat anyone when they get goaltending like they're getting from Thompson.
Am I wrong to say that one of the things that I need to, or I would like to see improvement out of, and I mean this with no disrespect towards anybody that's on there, I feel like we need to get a little more push out of that third line, the Lars Eller line, just a touch more push out of them.
Yeah, and then you got a big goal from Mangiapane in the series. Lars has been snake bit. Lars is getting opportunities, it just won't go for him, and it hasn't gone for him in a long, long time. So, these are the stories that are written. And you mentioned the guy, and I didn't address him, and I want to do it now. Duhaime, to me, is the player in the Stanley Cup playoffs. There's always one or two, and they're usually on the third or fourth line, who become motivated, driven beasts. And I think Duhaime just is that from the get-go. He's that from the jump. And that fourth line, which had mostly been Duhaime, Dowd, and Radish until the return of Protas, you had to take more than likely either Radish or Leonard out. Spencer Carberry elected to take Radish out. Duhaime is such a dog on a bone mentality, and that's exactly what you need as things get you start to climb this mountain into the second and third and hopefully fourth round. Those are the guys you need every day, whether it be in practice or in big games, to say, hey, follow me, watch by example. And Duhaime will do anything for this team to win. And if he can contribute offensively, it's a bonus, like he did against Montreal. If it has to be just blood and guts and forechecking and dropping the gloves if necessary, he'll do it. That to me, from a different line than we were talking about, is something that's so critically important. But yes, I know where you're going on the Mangiapane, Eller, Leonard, and I thought Leonard's best game I thought I've seen as a pro, and this is an extremely small sample size was Game 5. He had a number of quality scoring chances. His shot release was quicker. Things happen a whole bunch faster in the NHL than they do at the Division I college level. This guy's, what's that expression? He's drinking out of a fire hose right now, but he's doing it pretty well, and I would imagine it's going to get a little bit more comfortable for him as he gets adjusted more and more to the postseason for Ryan Leonard.
Hey, let me ask you this, and not to get too deep down into the weeds and all overly nerdy in hockey, but if you look at Carolina, the two things that I think that we also have to focus on, they have an unbelievable forecheck, meaning getting out of our defensive zone. They make that very, very hard on teams. They love to pressure the puck, trying to come out of the end. So I think Spencer, who, again, he'll figure it out, but working on a breakout to get it out of our zone will be important. And they love to shoot 1,000 pucks at a goalie.
Constantly. There is no bad shot for Carolina. Everything is about shot volume to the net. And from a goalie's perspective, it's going to be rebound control. If they keep throwing pucks to the net, they want Logan to keep spitting them out. If Logan controls rebounds well, that helps, and that curtails some of Carolina's impact. But you use the word, you've done your homework well. You've used the key word about Carolina and what Caps fans can expect over the next couple of weeks once this series gets started. Pressure, pressure, pressure. Rod Brind'Amour believes in up-tempo, in-your-face hockey. It is relentless. It will not stop. And for the Capitals defensively, the 6 defenders specifically, every time that puck is dumped in, Washington defenders know they've got to be checking over their shoulders, looking for outlet passes before they even arrive, because here comes Carolina's forecheck. They want to feed you to the boards, feed you to the glass, force you to make a bad pass. They're all about creating off of turnovers, and they create those turnovers with intense pressure. So what's most important? On a dump in, Caps have to get back to the puck quickly. There's no leisurely getting back. It's sprinting back, getting control, eyes up, looking for outlets, looking for ways to clear, because you're only going to have split seconds to do it. It's going to be really intense. The guys know it. They're used to it.
Sure.
They've done well with Carolina, but they know what to expect. And Brind'Amour will not ease up on that. He will turn these Tigers loose on the forecheck, and it's a matter of how Washington deals with it.
And so a couple of names, you mentioned Sebastian Aho. We're going to hear his name a ton. Seth Jarvis, we're going to hear his name a ton. You mentioned Svechnikov, who was missing all regular season. And then we got to the postseason, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, I guess it's time to go play. You know, the other kid on that team that I feel like gives, maybe it's just us, but I feel like he's had a good year. Jackson Blake is another name I feel like we're going to hear a lot.
So Blake's on the top line with Aho and Svechnikov right now, and son of a former NHLer. Doesn't skate as well as his dad, but boy, he's quick, and you can see the offensive instincts, and he's always around the right places in the on the ice. And you know, there's a little bit of that Danny Briere, Cole Caulfield in him, that he knows where to hide. Who was it? It was Matt Roy and Trevor Van Riemsdyk who told me about Caulfield. This guy knows how to find the quiet ice
Right.
And you don't know where is he? Oh, he's over there. Okay. And then you're going to get a lot of that out of Blake. And then you're going to also talk about, before this series is over, Logan Stankoven. And Stankoven is the guy they got in from Dallas, part of the big deal.
Oh, with Rantanen.
Yeah, for Rantanen. So Stankoven and Hall and Kotkaniemi are together now, and Logan's another guy with a really high upside who's starting to feel it. And if you give him chances, he will burn you. There's a lot to like about Carolina. We haven't even touched the defensive side and the goaltending. That's the question, but they're really good. And I understand why people think they're going to give Washington a tough time. No doubt about it. It's going to be a great series. It's going to be a long series.
Is Jalen Chatfield? I mean, we had all the fun with him at the end of the season. Do we just go into round 2 with him as the bad guy?
You can, obviously, for what went down first with McMichael early in April. The Caps played the Canes twice in April. It was the April 2 game where everybody got tossed out in the last 5.5 minutes. Carolina won that one convincingly. Thompson got hurt. Chatfield pulls this UFC move on McMichael. And then Chatfield pays the price in the comeback game on April 10th, and when Duhaime tuned him up pretty well. He's easy to dislike, working in partnership with a former Cap there in Dmitry Orlov. Mm-hmm. They're sound defensively. I think they may have the best, if not one of the best, defensive defenders in Jacob Slavin. Brent Burns, I know, is 40 years old, but there's still always a threat there. Gostisbehere is wonderful on the power play, and he makes it hum. Walker's a guy who scored against the Caps late. There's a lot to like on this team. Yeah, Chatfield is one that will instantly be disliked for what's gone down.
But you know what bothers me, Joe? Yeah, Carolina's a good team. It's fine. But why if you pull up any betting app, and Joe, I know you love your betting. I know you love your gambling.
No, yeah,
okay.
Sure.
Why is, you know what this reminds me of? The beginning of the year, nobody, I didn't feel like the Caps were getting the respect that they were due based on what they had done during the offseason. And if you pull up all the betting apps right now, everybody's like, oh, this is Carolina's series. I don't understand it to save my life.
True. I mean, and it's not like Washington was beating patsies on the way to a Metro Division title, on the way to an Eastern Conference title. For a long while there, they were leading the President's Trophy race, and they were still 6, 7, 8 in the betting public eyes. I can see there's no heavy favorite for Washington against Carolina. I believe they should be favored against Carolina, but I can understand why people think this is 6, 7 in terms of games. Without a doubt, they're two extremely good hockey teams, and when Spencer Carberry talks
You're
about
down
the
to the last.
of the league,
You're down to
Pardon?
the last 4 in the league. It should be close.
Yeah.
You should look at all these and go, "This is a 6 or 7 game series."
You're not at 4 yet. You're not at 4 yet.
All right.
You're in the second round. You're not down to the championship 4.
No. I meant 4 in the
final.
Eastern, just in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Thank you. Don't get in my face, Joe. Don't get in my face.
No, I'm not trying to do that. Spencer will tell you, though, it's hard to win one game in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and I don't think he's being dismissive about that. It's true. These games are all rock fights.
Right.
And this series will be a rock fight. This is not an easy pushover. I like Washington in this series, and I like them because of Logan Thompson. But I know Carolina and Washington will be a very difficult, tough series with a lot of push and pull both ways.
Who do you like between Tampa? Who do you like between Florida and Toronto?
Oof. I thought Tampa was going to take care of Florida.
So did
Florida
I.
Florida obviously had other ideas. I thought Vasilevsky had been playing so well, and you still have 3 or 4 of the top players in all the world on that Tampa team. So more credit is due to a Florida team that's played so much hockey in the last few years. I thought they'd be tired, pooped, and bow out. And Florida's going to be there. Florida, to me, if they didn't get beat by Tampa, I think they can take Toronto, and I think we're hopefully going to see Florida and Washington in the conference final. I genuinely think that's what's going to happen. That if I were betting, that's the way I would bet it. I like Florida against Toronto. No, not to despite or put down the Leafs. The Leafs had a little shaky moment there against Ottawa, and I love Ottawa. There's so many good teams to like, but Toronto this season against Florida, I just think Florida's wherewithal and know-how and knowledge, they'll get it done.
And you just want that series to go 7 games, and you want them slamming bodies like crazy, just wearing them out for the next round.
Yeah, but that's what it is. That's why this is the hardest tournament to win in sports. Hey, if Washington beats Carolina, hey, if Florida beats Toronto,
right.
Congrats, guys. You're halfway home. You're only halfway there.
All right, dude. Well, listen, enjoy Ann Arbor, enjoy lacrosse. It sucks that we lose you guys in the starting in the second round. But Joe B, it's awesome. And like we were talking, you guys will be doing a ton of coverage, a lot of pregame, postgame, all kinds of content for the Capitals on the network. Joe B, I appreciate the time. Thank you, buddy.
Elliot, my pleasure. Count on me.